despite the plea by President Muhammadu Buhari to leading members of the All Progressive Congress to set aside their differences ahead of the party's forthcoming national convention. The APC continues to be torn apart by disagreements on the way forward. Concerns remain that the APC has still not commenced the sale of forms to aspirants seeking to contest for the party's elective offices with just 11 days left to the convention. Similarly, the governors of the party cannot seem to agree on microzoning and who to support for key elective positions of the APC. Political pundits have warned that absence of consensus on elective positions could result in a contentious convention and widen the cracks within the APC before the 2023 general election. To discuss this and what the APC should be doing to forge a united front before its national convention, we're now being joined by Senator Magnus Abe, a member of the All Progressives Congress and the senator who represented Rivers Southeast in the National Assembly between 2011 and 2019. Good morning, Senator Abe, and welcome to the Morning Show.
Good morning, Dr. Abati, and good morning to our viewers out there.
Okay, very quickly, Senator Abe, what is happening in the APC? What's your take? Let's start by, having your reading of the situation within the party. Is the party about to implode? Because that's the position of some commentators on the crisis that the party faces.
Well, first of all, Dr. Abati, you and I are aware that when it comes to commentators on political issues, people rarely get it right because issues, especially in the political scene, it changes all the time. The events are very dynamic and they move pretty fast. But what I would agree is that the All Progressives Congress, as we speak today, has major challenges. And time is not on our side because with the signing of the Electoral Act and the rearrangement of the schedule by the electoral umpire, every political party, including the All Progressives Congress, has a duty to itself to fall within the timetable that has been set by the electoral umpire, because INEC is not going to adjust its timing for anybody, including the ruling party. So the responsibility for us to get it right and get it right on time falls squarely on our own shoulders. And the concern of a lot of members of this party across this country today is that a lot of our leaders don't seem to understand that we just don't have the luxury for games anymore. The time to play games is rightfully over, and we should get down to the serious business of trying to move this country forward, which is our responsibility.
Yes, and you certainly know better than most how strict INEC can be in enforcing lapses. So bearing that in mind, will APC have that convention on March 26th? Seeing as the reports are forms are not being sold, committees are not sitting, is the party ready or even in the process of getting ready?
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about the time frame. As you know, in this country, we have the ability to get up even at the last minute and get ourselves sorted out. But what concerns me and concerns a lot of people in this country today is I would identify three major factors. First is that a lot of our leaders do not seem to realize that the All Progressives Congress, as the ruling party in this country, if we have a problem, it becomes Nigeria's problem. And so the level of, would I call it indecision, or would I call it unpreparedness that we are showing for something as simple as a convention, which should enable us to begin to prepare ourselves and prepare this country for the future, is quite disturbing to a lot of people. That is one. The second thing is that we must realize that ultimately the APC is a political party. And the major usefulness of a political party lies in its ability to win elections. Now, when you talk to a lot of our leaders, their thinking seems to be that President Buhari has 11 million votes. And so they don't seem to understand that, first, that President Buhari will not be on the ballot. And secondly, that even those 11 million or 12 million voters, we cannot afford to take them for granted. So we must prepare ourselves in a manner that would engender confidence in the mind of the electorate so that we can go into the elections united and be able to deliver. A lot of our leaders, it seems to me, do not understand that we actually have to win an election when we contest it. The third thing, of course, is what is pretty obvious to anybody, is that we are dragging ourselves in too many directions. There are too many plots and subplots within the context of our own political party. And that common purpose, that unity of action that we need is not being properly forged. Disagreements in politics are normal. Diversity of interest is normal, but the common purpose of trying to work together to obtain our stated objective, that also should be normal. And that does not appear to be playing very high in the party at the moment.
You said common purpose, but did these strange bedfellows that came together to form the APC ever had a common purpose in the first place? I mean, maybe after the emergence of President Buhari, then, do you think they ever had a common purpose? Wasn't it just about, SPV, getting somebody in there, and now, let's tear it apart. Let's pick whatever suits us. So when you say common purpose, I'm like, what's the common ethos of the APC?
I think that if you discount the kind of tenacity, if you discount the kind of unity, if you discount the kind of strength that made it possible for the All Progressives Congress to be able to unseat the ruling party in this country, not just unseat the ruling party, but even divide the ruling party and unseat it, you will be missing the calculation that made it possible for us to get here. I do agree with you that having attained power, a lot of us seem to be going in our own different directions. But I understand and I believe that it is possible for us to still come back and find that common purpose that enabled us to get this far. If we can find that thread, I don't see that there's any unsurmountable obstacle that we face. The issues that seem to be agitating the minds of commentators, zoning of offices, sharing of positions, and all that is normal in a political setting. What seems to be abnormal here is the fact that we're doing this barely, I don't even want to use the words months to when we have to pick our new flag bearer. And if we can't rally ourselves to that, then it appears that every other thing will be dragging us in different directions.
Okay, Senator Magnus Abe still on the APC. In the last week that we've been discussing the party back and forth, we've heard about a force represented by 19 governors. And then Governor Akeredolu of Ondo State talking about Yahoo governors. I mean, you've been in the party for some time. Is there a criminal wing of the APC enterprise? And do you have information on who these criminals are and what is their crime as alleged?
Dr. Abati, we are politicians, and sometimes we tend to use very flowery language to get our points across. I think that if you focus too much on some of these words that we use as politicians, you tend to miss the essence of what I think that my brother, Governor Akeredolu, was trying to communicate, which was to express his own angst as to the activities that what he perceived as going on within the party at that time. And some of the other governors on the other side who were opposed to him have equally used certain flowery language. So in terms of politics, we say these things to one another. It doesn't mean that we're now lifelong enemies. I think what is important for the party at this point is for the governors to come together, be able to sit down, identify the root causes of their disaffection, and act in a manner that allays their fears. I think the fear of Governor Akeredolu, which he was referring to, is the fact that a lot of people had become convinced or felt that the convention was now being treated as a soccer game, because we've been trying to hold these conventions. It's almost 2 years plus now, and we simply don't have the luxury of time anymore. So I think that is the critical challenge that the party is facing. So I think these governors, regardless of what they have said to each other, regardless of what suspicions they may hold, actually have to come together and forge a common front along with other leaders of the party, because the impression is being created out there that the APC is simply whatever the governors say it is. I don't think that is correct. Yes, the governors are an influential bloc within the party, but this is the ruling party. We have the president, we have other key stakeholders in this party who also have a voice. And that is why we have the national caucus of the party, where all these people can come together, including the governors. I don't think that where we are now is simply a question of whatever the governors say is what it has to be. I think that we need to expand the scope of critical stakeholders beyond just the governors and bring in other leaders and elders to sit together and get this thing right, so we can move on. Because like I said from the beginning, we don't have the luxury of time.
And I'm sure many within your party would agree with you. What is your response to reports that President Buhari is being pressured by certain parties, which we can all imagine who those might be, to drop his preferred candidate, or his alleged preferred candidate, Senator Abdullahi Adamu? And also now the report that APC might not go into the convention with a consensus chairman, which would be highly unusual for APC. Actually, the first time it's happened in the history of APC. What is your response to that?
Well, I don't know about that, honestly, because to speak very, very frankly, I believe that trying to build consensus around that key office of a chairman would help to make the convention less stressful. And also, you forget that even after the convention, if people are dissatisfied, we could still have a crack in the party. So I think that trying to bring everybody on board, the chairman alone is not going to run the party. If we bring key interests on board and everybody is convinced that at the end of the day, politics is a game of interest, their own interests will be protected one way or the other, I believe that we can still put ourselves together. But with the passage of the Electoral Act, you know, and I know, that the question of consensus can no longer be left to just anybody. Anybody who purchases a form, as far as the Electoral Act is concerned, has to consent to consensus. So it's gone. It's not as easy as it used to be to build consensus, but it is still possible.
Okay, please go ahead.
Some people will argue that this is how the APC behaves. This is the character of the APC. Leading up to 2019, you had fallouts everywhere. You had fallouts in your state that concerned you in Rivers State. You had in Imo State. And the story just continues. And even after that election, we had fallouts that led to Oshiomhole being pulled out of office, and they felt Mai Mala Buni was supposed to be the consolidation and the solution to all the problems of APC. He was supposed to be the silver lining. And now he's not good enough. Then you have a new chairman, Sani Bello, and now, because of INEC, you reverse back to Mai Mala Buni. What is really happening with your party?
Well, I think that, like I said from the beginning, there's no running away from the reality of where we are, which is that the party is facing an existential crisis. We actually have a serious problem. But I don't believe that the challenges that we're facing as a party at this moment cannot be resolved. They're all easy to resolve. Not easy, but it's possible to resolve them. But let me also say that when you keep talking about the history of the APC, if you would recollect, the APC is barely 9 years old as we speak. And so I don't think that we have formed any tradition that is absolutely cast in stone. We're still trying to, and we still have an obligation to try to forge our character. And some of these things that we see as major crises within the party is actually an opportunity for us to determine our true character as patriots. And so some of the challenges that we face now is an important part of how we forge our true character as the leading political party in this nation. And I was also saying that there is no denying the fact that the party is facing an existential crisis. And it is important that the leaders of this party, including Mr. President, need to sit together, call everybody. That's why we have our national caucus, which we always hold before major events such as the convention or the NEC. We need to have a meeting of the national caucus and proper directions laid out for everybody to follow, because sometimes party members are loyal. If they actually know the true direction in which the party is headed, people will follow. But where you keep having conflicting signals and conflicting directions, people become confused. And when they become confused, they take entrenched positions, and it becomes more difficult to shift them from those positions. So I think that given that we don't have the luxury of time where we would have been able to work these things out systematically, what is needed now is an urgency of purpose, where we sit down, agree on where we're going, what we're doing, and we all get up and go and get it done. That's where we are now.
Senator Abe, let's move from the general, the national, to the individual, to the specific, to the local aspect of this game. I mean, you are very active in politics. What's your plan for 2023? Are you running for any position? And what do you think of the turmoil, if I may use that expression, going on in Rivers State, your state, with the president governor picking up fights everywhere? If he's not fighting in Ebonyi, he's busy fighting in those states. How does this affect the image of the state that you all, are all stakeholders involved in the matter?
Well, I think from my understanding of the fights you talk about, these are internal affairs of the People's Democratic Party, of which he is a member and a leader. And given that we have our own challenges in the APC, I don't want to get involved in any needless controversy within another political party. I want to focus my energies on what I think would help us as All Progressives Party, All Progressives APC members here in Rivers State, which is for us to get our direction right. I believe that if we get our own house in order, we put our house in order, then we're in a better position to take advantage of whatever challenges may be in the camp of our opponents. But while we are still grappling with our own challenges, it will be foolhardy for me to get involved in Edo State matter and Rivers State matter and PDP matter. I think what we need here in Rivers State, just as we need at the national, is a situation where the leaders of the party would realize that democracy is for everybody, and that we need to respect one another, and that most importantly, we need to respect the voters, because some of these actions and things that we do, it turns off the voters, and that doesn't help the party to win elections. So I think we should focus on the things that are important to the Nigerian people. We must show a leadership that is concerned about the things that are bothering them. not one that all the time it appears that all we or all we think about are the issues. Can you hear me, sir? Yes, I don't think that, I think that we should spend more time on the issues that bother the voters, because at the end of the day, they are actually the employers of the politicians.
Okay, your own ambition. What's your plan? Do you want to be governor, or you want to go back to the Senate, or you want to become a godfather?
I don't have the resources to become a godfather, Dr. Abati, but what I do know is that here in Rivers State, I have been consulting with Rivers people, discussing with them as to the direction that I think that our state can go. I had a very, very productive engagement with the youths across party lines, across ethnic lines, across every divide in the state, and it was very, very positive. I see a lot of very positive energy in our country at this time. I see a determination on the part of the Nigerian people to forge a new direction for their country. I see optimism in our country. People believe that despite whatever challenges that this nation is facing, I believe that Nigerians know that this country has potential, the country has possibilities, the country has opportunities that are glaringly in front of us. And I believe that a lot of politicians do not seem to understand this new attitude, this new power of the Nigerian electorate. And if politicians who don't understand these new vibes may find themselves as part of the history of this country and not part of its future, I want to be sure that I am part of the future of Nigeria by connecting with those who see the possibilities of our country and who are determined to produce a leadership that can extract those possibilities for the majority of our people.
And yet, just 3 weeks ago, former Attorney General of Rivers State, Wogu Bombs, was widely reported as denying an accusation leveled against him and others who are loyal to you, Senator Abe. You were all accused of trying to pull down APC in Rivers State and that you're working with PDP, which I'm sure is a familiar refrain for you. So my issue now is that have no lessons been learned by APC in Rivers State after that really harsh experience in 2019? That why does this friction continue? We're back in that cycle, we remain in that cycle of accusation and counter-accusation. All this time after, 3 years after, and heading into another general election, are we going to see history repeat itself with Rivers APC?
You know, let me be very honest with you. This whole accusation of working with Wike and all that is nothing but an attempt to undermine the capacity and ability of some of us as politicians. What the minister always tries to do by that is to say that without the support of the state government or without the support of Governor Wike, we cannot challenge him within the party. That's the message he's trying to send. But I believe that Nigerians understand that politics in a democracy is about numbers. We have the numbers, you know, within the APC to make our point visible and clear and to affect the direction of any voting exercise that takes place in this state. So when you continue to say, oh, we are working with Wike and all that, that is just a simple way of saying that without Wike, we cannot say that we don't agree with what the minister is doing. And that is incorrect. Now that we are having problems at the national level, has anybody said it is Wike that is telling people to agree or not to agree to what they don't agree with? The problems we have across different chapters of this party in the various states caused by the internal strife and divisions within the party across the state. Is it being sponsored by anybody outside? The problems that the PDP is having itself, as you just in what is happening between Governor Wike and Governor Obaseki, is it sponsored by anybody? We are politicians. We have cut our teeth. The minister and everybody who is familiar with the history of the APC here in Rivers State knows that we contributed to the founding of this party here in the state. We put our life on the line to establish the APC, and we have a right within the party. And if anybody tries to deny us our rights and deny us our place within the party, there will be problem in the party. That has nothing to do with anybody. It is our house. We need to come together, put it in order, so that the house will be useful to the members or the owners of the house. Where we fail to do that, we can say whatever we like. It will not change the reality at the end of the day, which is that there is a problem in the All Progressives Congress here in the States, and that problem is caused by the exclusion of key members of the party and several thousands of ordinary members of this party who contributed so much to the party, and they have a right and a stake. If we listen to them, if we dialogue with them, if we give them what will make them comfortable as members of the All Progressives Congress, we can all work together to build an effective political party that can deliver on the expectations of its members. If we continue to write people off, oh, they are working with Wiki, oh, they are doing this, oh, they're doing that, and then we continue to think that we can trample on the rights of members of the party, I don't see that there will be peace in this party. So the sooner we stop all that exercise in what I would call pointless bravado, the better it will be for the party.
Things up. I'd like to know, what's your relationship now with the likes of Tonya Cole and former Governor Rotimi Amechi, which you were secretary to the government under his administration? What's your relationship like? Because that was, Tonya Cole especially was a sticking point, you know, in the last election, and Amechi too. What's your relationship with them?
Tonya Cole is a friend of mine. He's a brother. And like I said from the beginning, it was unfortunate dragging him into what he wasn't part of. Because if he wanted to bring Tonya Cole as a candidate of the party, it would have been first to unify the party and put the platform in such a manner that everybody can contribute to whoever emerges as our flag bearer. But Tonya Cole at that time was a virtual stranger to this party. And to drag him into the middle of what we're doing was very unfortunate. And I told him so because, like I said, he's a friend and a brother. So these disagreements are not personal. On my relationship with former Governor Rotimi Amechi, Governor Amechi has been a friend, but we are no longer friends in that sense. But we are members of the same political party. And we need to be able to have a relationship that will make it possible for us to work together. There is nothing personal about it. There is no requirement that I have to be a friend of Governor Amechi before I can be a member of the All Progressives Congress. If it were to be that way, a lot of people who are members of this party across the country who are not friends with other members of the party would have been forced to leave. This is not a social club. It's not an association of friends. It is a political party in which diverse interests, diverse ambitions, and all that will have to be managed constructively according to the rules. I think that if we focus on that and leave out a lot of the personal animosity and hatred that we exhibit within the party, I believe that we can make better progress. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate you, Senator Magnus Abe, for your time.